YouTube. We are back. We're doing another review today for Transit Love, episode 10. Where we last left off, people were going on their keyword dates, and we're gonna move right into talking about the next keyword date that happened, which is Yoosik and Hyunji's keyword date. Yoosik and Hyunji, at the beginning of the episode, they meet. Hyunji's pretty happy to see him, and Yoosik's all like, woohoo. Like, you can tell that he's like nervous, but like excited. They go to paint like these statue bears. Yoosik's is really good. Hyunji's is terrible. Like, she paints it like gray, and it's so ugly. But there's not much to say about this date. They had a good time. They were cute. It's really clear from this date now that Yoosik likes Hyunji more than he likes Jiyeon. Okay, so finally they're allowed to reveal their ages. So just to put this into perspective for you guys, age is a big thing in Korean culture. It decides how you call someone, your honorifics that you like call someone by. And it can make a difference, I think, in whether people like each other or not, especially if some people prefer older people versus younger people, stuff like that. Here are the ages in honestly no particular order. So Baekhyun is 28 years old. He was born in 1998. Jihyeon is 27. He was born in 1999. Woojin is 30. He was born in 1996. Yoosik is 26. He was born in 2000. Wongyu is 33. He was born in 1993. Minkyung is 25. She was born in 2001. Jiyeon is 28. She was born in 1998. Yunnyeong is 26. She was also born in the year 2000. Hyunji is 29. She was born in 1997. And Jihyeon is 28. She was born in 1998. So there's 3 98ers. So just to clarify something, in Korea, when you are the same age as someone else, they say that you're like friends. Like, if you are the same age as like other people around you, you are automatically friends. And you just call that person 친구. That person is automatically your friend because you're the same age. The word friend in Korean doesn't have quite the same meaning as in English. It's more of an indication that your same age peers are around you. That's why, like, if like there's a bunch of kids in a class, they will say like let's say maybe they're describing like a conflict that you're having, and they'll be like, oh, why are there conflicts between your friends? It's not that you guys are actually friends. You're just the same age. You understand? So the minute that like they find out that they're the same age, they start going friend, my friend, like that. Because it's more like an age grouping thing. That's when I say like the age hierarchy in Korean is really important. I really do mean it's really important. Post the age reveal, everyone's all like, Yahoo, my friends. And also not my friends. People are making fun of Wongyu for being the oldest. And Baekhyun, Jihyeon, and Jiyeon are all like, we're all the same age. Hey, we are friends or whatever. Like, Jiyeon is like, she feels a little self-conscious about the fact that she's like on the older side amongst the girls. And she's like, I just need to pretend to be younger. I'm going to make like a nasal voice to say hello. And Baekhyun is like, try it. And she goes, hello, or whatever, like to sound really cute. But then she has like a moment of like, oh my God, what did I just do? And she starts laughing and she hits him really hard. And he's like, damn. And she's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you that hard. I would just like to say on behalf of all the women in the world, thank you, Jiyeon, for hitting that man. I can't stand his ass. Then Baekhyun is like laughing with Jiyeon and like he's taking pictures of her. By the way, just to be clear, Jiyeon and Baekhyun are not just friends because of their age. Even pre-age reveal, they have been tight. They are brothers. I've said this before. They are homies, okay? And Yunnyeong, who's had a thing for Baekhyun, has been kind of like watching this like energy, and she's right here. And she is like not really liking it, to be honest. She like starts to feel jealous seeing him. She's not his ex, by the way. She's just someone who's interested in him. And Hyunji is sitting right next to her and doesn't seem to care. So the two of them are fooling around, and she like hates it. And she like gets up and she walks away to her room to go drink. Now, I think part of the reason why she feels kind of sensitive to them like fooling around when she did it before is because Baekhyun in the past said that he doesn't see younger women as like women, like as a potential romantic partner, because he has a younger sister. So for him, it feels weird to date younger women, which is why he's mainly only ever dated older women. So Yunnyeong is younger than him by like 2 years, but she is younger than him. So I think she's feeling kind of like self-conscious and like a little bit sensitive at this time because like Jiyeon, it was revealed and they're all the same age. And she's not even like the same age as him. She's younger than him. So in her mind, she's like, oh, maybe he's starting to feel for her more because she's at least the same age as him. But whatever. So later, like, everyone cleans up and people are like doing dishes and stuff, and people are like walking in and out of the kitchen, and Baekhyun and Hyunji have like a little moment to themselves in the kitchen. Not much happens here. They just like talk about how Hyunji's feeling a bit like self-conscious about being the oldest girl in the house. And she's like, oh, do I like clearly look the oldest? He's like, no, you look like mature. It's not like you look like super old or whatever. And they both are like, well, age is not important. Who you like is important. He's like, have you made up your mind to show off your charms? And she's like, I've never like done anything to show off my charms. And he's like, oh, but you should. So he's back on his bullshit, essentially. Guys, don't forget, literally 24 hours ago, they were all like hugging and cuddling and shit in this exact same kitchen. And now he's out here saying like, you should show off your charms or whatever. Bro, the minute she does anything with Yoosik in front of you, you will probably lose your mind. So I don't even want to hear him. He's back to denying himself, even though they did all that crazy shit not even 20 hours prior. So later, as the night goes on, Yoosik is like, I'm feeling kind of upset about the fact that I'm the youngest. Like, he's feeling self-conscious. He's upset about the fact that he's the youngest. So he goes with Wongyu, who's the oldest, to their room. And he just goes there and he complains about the fact that he's the youngest. And Wongyu's like, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And like one by one, people are like entering the room. There's like 6 people in there drinking when initially the 2 of them went in there to talk about Yoosik feeling self-conscious about being youngest, which is honestly pretty dumb because nobody cares but him. I don't really know why he's making such a big deal about it. It's very strange. Jiyeon, while everyone is like in this room, steps away and she goes out with Baekhyun. Remember, Baekhyun, her bestie, even before age reveal. And she is basically like, I want to ask for advice about Yoosik because I don't know if he's like upset about the fact that he's the youngest because he likes me and he's younger than me. So he thinks that I won't like him because of that. Or if it's because he's just upset about the age thing, like it's his own personal thing. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. And Baekhyun is just like, oh, just express yourself to him. Just be honest and ask him, blah, blah, blah. Like, so while Jihyeon is gone, Yunnyeong and Jiyeon come into the room where Yoosik and Wongyu are. And Yunnyeong mentions, she's like, hey, friend, you said that you would let me try like one of your oversized shirts or whatever. He's like, okay, sure. And Jiyeon, she's basically like, oh, like, give me a shirt too. Give me a shirt too. And he's like, do I have anything that would like suit you? I don't know. But then suddenly he's like, oh, maybe I do have something that would suit you. I just want to remind everyone that Wongyu has been drinking with Yoosik here for like 2 hours. He is hella drunk when she asked him for a shirt. I'm just saying. So I really cannot tell if like he gave her a shirt because his feelings have grown that much, or he's just drunk and she asked for it and he gave it to her. From her perspective, since he agreed to give her the shirt, that would make her think like, oh, he is into me. Which, you know, I don't know what I think about that. So then Wongyu gives her the shirt. And in the moment that Wongyu gives Jiyeon the shirt, Jiyeon, his ex right here, walks in. And so Jiyeon walks away. She goes out to put the shirt away. And Wongyu sits back down. And Jiyeon sits kind of near him. There's like a small space in between them when she sits down initially. But Jiyeon sits kind of near him. But when Jiyeon comes in between the 2 of them, and she just like shoves herself in there. So you have Wongyu's ex, who's feeling some type of way, and Jiyeon. And when Jiyeon sits down, she's like, oh, thanks for giving me the shirt. So Jiyeon hears and sees the fact that her ex gave a different girl like one of his shirts. And you can see that makes her feel some type of way. I was like, this is a little bit awkward. It's not like he did it in front of her on purpose. In the moment that Jiyeon asked for it, she walked in. And he is drunk. To be honest, I am not really sure how much of this he's going to remember by the next day. When I tell you he's drunk, I mean, he is drunk. Like, bro is like waddling around the house. And he is speaking in a really cute way that he never speaks. Like, he is super duper duper drunk. So I'm just like, I don't know how much of his actions I can actually, like, I can say, like, are your actions, because I feel like his inebriation is doing, like, half of the talking for him right now. So, like, Jiyeon is noticing, like, oh, you're super, super, super drunk. You need to come drink some water. So they leave to go drink some water, and then Jiyeon sits up and she sighs, and then she starts to take a drink. So everybody's drinking tonight. So later, Wongyu comes back to the room, and he sees that all the other people have emptied out, and it's just like Jiyeon and Yoosik talking to each other separately. Jiyeon was asking Yoosik, like, why are you sad? Like, why are you so sad about your age thing? And trying to like basically tell him, like, I really don't think it's that important or that it should even matter. I don't think it's something that you should be upset about. Basically trying to hint that, like, I don't care because I like you for you. But he doesn't care about that at all because he's not even interested in her anymore. He just likes Hyunji now. So Wongyu comes in, he sees the two of them talking. He's like, oh, maybe I should leave. And Jiyeon is like, oh, you don't have to. And he's like, no, I'm gonna go. So he leaves, but he can't bring himself to go back upstairs. So he just like walks up the stairs right in front of their room. And he's just standing here he just lingers here because he can't bring himself to go upstairs. And it's like kind of strange. And he only goes back into the room when other people come downstairs with him. And so he enters the room with all those people. Seeing the two of them act like this, it convinces me even more that these two are going to get back together at the end of the show. He's clearly not over her. She's not over him. And even though they had like their problems, I do think they will get back together. And I think out of everybody here, their problems are the least problematic. Their problems was, I think, like, honestly, he thought he was too good for her because, like, she's an actress and he is a doctor. He felt like she wasn't being serious enough about trying to change jobs to being an announcer or whatever. And he was like, oh, I think I could do better. But then he realized how much he, like, loved her when she was gone. You understand? He realized what he was missing after it left him. And now, like, it doesn't matter how much Jiyeon approaches him, like, he's always going to want to get back together with her. In his mind, she's the one who got away. So next, Wongyu comes back in the room with other people. He sits down and Jiyeon is sitting up. Once again, they're near each other, right? There's a space. This is the same space that was here when Jiyeon sat next to him the first time. And so Jiyeon opens the door and she's coming to call him for ramen because he asked her in his extremely drunk state. He asked her to make him ramen. So she was making ramen for herself. She was like, sure. And so she was upstairs making ramen and she like was like, well, where's this man? I made him ramen. So she comes downstairs to get him. But Jiyeon doesn't know that until Jiyeon sees Jiyeon walk in and she's like, oh, you're about to sit down next to my ex again. So Jiyeon moves super close. You see this? Super duper duper close to Wongyu so that she can't sit next to him again. I was like, oh, this is where we're at. I don't think this made it super obvious to Jiyeon that she's his ex, but definitely you can see that like their actions tonight have had an effect on her and that she doesn't want to see Jiyeon get close to Wongyu anymore. At the end of the day, Wongyu follows Jiyeon to the kitchen to eat ramen with her. Problems. So after eating ramen, the two of them are chilling. Originally, Wongyu had texted Jiyeon same night and was like, oh, later, like, let's go out to the terrace and like hang out or whatever. So obviously Jiyeon's all like, woohoo, because she's super into Wongyu and she don't care about anybody else in this house. She just wants to talk to Wongyu. So Wongyu and Jiyeon come out to the terrace. They're sitting here, they're talking. And all of a sudden this man, he goes, bam, 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 bam. Like he stomps his ass through this door. He opens the door like a madman. Like he thrusts the door open. And Wongyu turns around to look at him and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, but can I talk to Jiyeon for a minute? And Wongyu's like, oh, okay. Like literally they were in the middle of talking. I'm like, what? He's like super mad and it just comes out of nowhere. So Wongyu is like, okay. Wongyu leaves. Woojin sits down and as soon as he sits down, he immediately is like, you don't care about me at all, do you? Woojin is like, I went downstairs to talk to you and you weren't there. And I was looking for you and I heard you were talking to Wongyu at this time, just the two of you on the terrace. Just to put this into perspective, it's 5 a.m. They have been up all night together, drinking, eating ramen, and they went out to this terrace like 4:35 a.m. So then she was like, oh, he asked me to talk, so I just came out to talk for a little bit. And then Woojin is like, exactly, like, if you weren't serious about your feelings for him, you wouldn't come out at this time of day to talk to him. You would have said, I'm really tired, so let's sleep or talk tomorrow. Or like you wouldn't eat ramen, just the two of you guys, when everybody was together drinking and you guys like left to go do your own thing. Then he's like, are all of these actions, everything you're doing, are you like serious right now? Are your feelings like serious? Like, are you sincere? And she's like, well, who here isn't sincere? He's like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like he says it like multiple times. And she's like, obviously, I'm sincere. That's why I'm talking to him. He's like, really? And then he goes, I'm so disappointed in you. Girl, if you don't... And then he's like, at the very least, I thought you would be considerate of me and not do those actions in front of me, at least not while we're all together. She cuts in and she's like, but I told you from the start, even in the pre-meeting before we entered the house, that I'm not going to pay attention to my ex and that I'm going to follow my own feelings. And I won't even pay attention to my ex's ex, that I'm only going to pay attention and follow my own heart. He's like, you did, but... And then she cuts in again and she's like, are my actions too inconsiderate? And he's like, at least that's how it feels to me. And then he continues and he says, I understand you have your own feelings and following your feelings is right, but... And then she cuts in again and she's like, why does it feel like I'm being scolded right now? She's like, oh, your eyes are so scary. When you came in earlier, I was so surprised because you came in looking so mad and I didn't know that you wanted to talk to me. He's like, I know, but seeing you guys go off to eat ramen and then later... when I was looking for you and you weren't there and finding out that you were on the terrace with someone else at this time of day, do you have to go out of your way to express yourself like that in front of me? Then she's like, when I do those things, does it bother you a lot? And he's like, isn't it obvious that it would bother me? And she's like, okay, I'll be more considerate of you. And he's like, so does that mean you'll go around doing everything you want to do somewhere that I can't see? You must be kidding me right now. At this point, Jiyeon, just like me, starts to kind of get annoyed. Up until this point, when he was discussing this with her, you could tell that she felt bad. But when he says, oh, so are you going to do everything you want to do out of my sight then? When her expression changes, because up until this point, she was feeling like apologetic and she was thinking to herself, maybe I am being a bit too selfish. I could be like more careful and considerate towards my ex or whatever. But then he says like, oh, you're going to do everything you want out of my sight then. And she is like, you can tell in her face that she's like, him saying that is crossing a line to being like, telling her essentially not to do anything, which she doesn't feel like is right. And so she like laughs and she's like, you're scaring me. I feel like you're scolding me right now. We came out to the show to meet new people. And then she continues and she says, every time you do something like this, I'm taken aback. You came out of nowhere while I was talking to someone else with a super angry face. Anyone could tell you were mad. And that's why I was so shocked. And before Woojin can reply to her, Jihyeon comes in wanting to smoke. This is the second time Jihyeon wanting to smoke on the terrace has interrupted their conversation. This happened the first time too. The first time they had like a little fight, basically about the same thing. Jihyeon came and he needed to smoke and it like interrupted their conversation. You can walk down the steps and smoke in the yard. Stop interrupting people while they're on the terrace. Anyways, Jiyeon comes in to smoke, and so Jiyeon's like, well, we can't talk anymore, so she just gets up and leaves. Jiyeon also doesn't really want to talk anymore, and that's like how the conversation ends. The next morning, it's not really the next morning, a few hours later, because they stayed up all night, as they do every night, Woojin is less drunk. He says in the interview later, he was like, I was drunk and I feel like all my emotions came to a head. That's why I burst out at Jiyeon like that or whatever. And he's like, when I was like less drunk, I realized like what I did was kind of messed up. And so he pulls Wongyu aside separately to the same terrace and he like goes to him. He's like, I think it was really inconsiderate and like rude of me to interrupt your conversation like that. I just wanted to let you know that I'm really sorry for disrespecting y'all while you guys were having a conversation. Wongyu is like, fully, I don't care, whatever. Like, he accepts the apology. It's good that he apologized to Wongyu, but he really should be apologizing to Jiyeon, okay? Because he interrupted both of their conversations, okay? They were together having a conversation and he came out of nowhere like koom, stomping on the floor, super mad, and interrupted their conversation. And Jiyeon didn't even know that he was looking for her when he did that. At the end of the day, what he's mad about is that Jiyeon doesn't want to get back together. That's it. It was just about her being disrespectful with her actions in front of him. Then when she said, I'll be more considerate and I won't take so many like actions and express myself while you're there, then he would have been like, okay, like, let's just be careful. Let's be more considerate of each other, whatever. And he would have left. But that's not what happened. As a response, he was like, so you're going to keep on doing that stuff in a place that I can't see? Which means he just doesn't want her to do it. Do you understand? He just doesn't want her to express herself to another man. He just wants to get back together. Here's the thing, though. Jiyeon really does not want to get back together, okay? She's said it all over the house. So she doesn't want to get back together. She wants to meet someone new that she's not going to care about about her ex. She's been super duper honest from the start. Seeing him act like that just turned her off him even more. Instead, if he came to her and he was like, I'm jealous. I still really care about you. I want to get back together with you. Seeing you do things with Wongyu makes me jealous. I wish you could give me like a second chance, something. If he would just said, honestly, I'm jealous and I want to get back together with you, she might take his words a bit more seriously. But because he still treats her like she is his girlfriend, when he comes in super mad about Wongyu, it's like in his mind, he still has the right to feel that way because this is my girl. But this is not your girl anymore. She can do whatever she wants. Like you said yourself, you're allowed to follow what your heart wants. But like the way you're acting, you're saying one thing and you're mean another. I think the other thing that was a bit concerning for me was this is not the first time in the house where like he's gotten angry. He's done an action. The action hurt someone. He feels sorry about the action. So he apologizes, but then he gets angry. You see what I mean? It's a cycle. And people who show this kind of cycle of emotional behavior, people who act this way, it reminds me of an abuser's behavior. I don't want to say that because I'm not saying that Woojin is abusive. I'm just saying that this emotional cycle that he goes through, it's something that we see kind of consistently now. He has shown a consistent pattern of getting super mad, reflecting later, but then doing the same thing. So it doesn't feel like, to me, that he is capable of growing, or maybe I just can't see how he is growing because it's just like this short window. I can only see like what the editors show me, right? So I am not trying to make any specific statement about Woojin. I don't have the right to do those things. He's a real person outside of the show at the end of the day. But I'm just saying that to me, as a fellow woman, if I were Jiyeon, I would genuinely feel a little bit threatened or scared in that moment, seeing him act like that. And if their relationship was like that, then I understand why at the end she chose to break up, feeling like nothing would change. Because it's like, he does something that hurts her, he apologizes, but then he does it again. There is no learning, you understand? He says to himself, like, I think like a demon possessed me, like an evil spirit possessed me, like this evil spirit inside of me or whatever. He himself knows that he has a temper problem. And I think if he wants to get back together with Jiyeon, first, he has to address this temper problem. Like last week, I said Woojin, out of all the guys, I felt like was the best out of all of them because he at least had the ability to reflect. But now it's like his second or third time reflecting on an incorrect action that he's taken. And it's just starting to feel like a pattern. Like you reflect, you say sorry, but then you do it again. And I think to me, that is scarier than the guys who are just kind of clueless because they're young and a little bit stupid. Baekhyun and Yoosik are stupid and annoying. Woojin in this moment feels dangerous. And that made me really like kind of uncomfortable watching that. And I could imagine that Jiyeon would feel the same way. I found very interesting that when I went to the Korean comments about this fight, everybody was on Woojin's side and they were saying like, oh, he's such a good guy. He's such a good person. He like held back as much as he could because Jiyeon's been doing like too much. And I get it. Jiyeon is kind of inconsiderate of her ex sometimes. She does follow her heart a bit too much. Like how she goes around telling everybody, I don't care about my ex, I don't care about my ex, I don't care about... But like, if you had said it one time, it would have been fine. But she says it 3, 4, 5, 6 times a night. And throughout the day, like she says it constantly. Then it just starts to feel like, okay, like we get it. Like I heard you the first time. But at a certain point, you would start to feel kind of annoyed. You'd be like, okay, I heard you. Like, I get it. You don't give a shit about me. Like, fine. So I understand that. She could calm down with that. But it's not really that. He's just upset about all of it. It's not just that, like, she is a bit inconsiderate to him. It's the fact that she just doesn't want to get back together. The next day she's talking to Yunnyeong while they're doing their makeup. She tells him like what her ex did. Yunnyeong is like, oh, is he crazy? She was like, seeing that made me really disappointed in him. So it just shows that what he did had the opposite effect of what he was trying to have. He really should just get on his knees and say, Jiyeon, I'm so sorry. Let's get back together. It would have been better if he came to her crying. He should have stopped at the moment before he said, so you're going to do that in a place that I can't see. Right before he said that, everything up to that point, I was like, that's fair. That's fair. And when he said that, I was like, actually, never mind. And I was just like her. I was like, okay, now you're just crazy. So the same morning they announced that the X room's open. And so the X room is a room where you can go in and see all of the memories of you and your ex, like when in your past relationship. And you'll see like kind of how they decorate the rooms based on like your story and like the pictures and the stuff that you saved from your relationship, which I think is part of the reason why they try to get people who broke up recently, because then they won't have thrown out so many things. So the X room opens, everybody gets the text that the X room opens, and Jiyeon gets the text, and she was going to wear the shirt that Wongyu gave her that day. And she's like, since we got the text that we were going to the X room, I thought about it for a really long time, whether or not I should take it off. But in the end, she decided to go to the X room wearing the t-shirt. See, this is what I mean. This kind of behavior doesn't help her. I'm mostly with her, but to wear another man's shirt to the X room where you and your ex are supposed to reflect on your relationship and why it ended. You see how that could feel disrespectful? Do you know what I mean? Like, if it were me, I would feel a little bit disrespected. I'd be like, did you really have to go out of your way to wear his shirt? Like, that's how I would feel. You could have worn other clothing. We didn't have to do that. I think it's good that she's following her own heart. She has no obligation to want to reunite. And I don't think she was wrong in that conversation at all. I think all the people who are taking Woojin's side, it's kind of strange and it's giving misogyny. But this one specific thing, I'm like, you really should have changed your t-shirt. And if they fight in the X room, it's going to be because of this. Anyways, we only get to see one X room this episode. This is how the episode ends. So the two of them go to the X room. There's an envelope that says like only one person can enter the X room. If both say they want to enter, you have to like go into a room where you're separated by a wall facing opposite directions, sitting across from each other. And you have to discuss for 10 minutes who's going to enter. So they both said they wanted to go into the X room. So now they have to discuss who is going to be the person who gets to go in. To facilitate this discussion, there's an envelope with a prompt on each of their seats that gives them like something to talk about, which essentially helps them decide who is going to go into the X room. And the prompt is the reason why we broke up. So Yoosik's envelope says that he said the reason they broke up is because of priorities. But Minkyung's envelope says they broke up because of their future. Yoosik asked her, like, do you want to go in? And Minkyung said was curious about what was inside. So Yoosik's like, okay, then you should go in. And Minkyung is like, no, I think it'd be better if you go in. During the relationship we had, I had no regrets and I did everything I could. So I want you to go in there and reflect back on our relationship. And he's like, why? Because I'm the reason that we broke up? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, but you're the one who decided to break up first. And she's like, while crying, this is the moment where she starts to like really break out into tears and start sobbing really hard. She's like, yeah, and who's the one who made me make that decision in the first place? She's sobbing like super duper hard at this point. And she's like, every time it's time to make a decision, you always make it so that I have to make the hard choice. She says, I don't want to talk much anymore about like this. And he's like, that's why I always wish that you would be happy. Even now, I wish that you would be happy. And she says, just think everything over seriously while looking at everything in the room. And then she gets up and she leaves. So this conversation. Okay. Just from the conversation alone, I kind of feel, I continue to feel how I felt about Yoosik, which is that he stopped liking her at a certain point in their relationship, and he was not able to make the hard choice to say, I want to break up. So because he was not able to make the hard choice to say, I want to break up, it's just like he did other things to put in less effort in the relationship. This pushes Minkyung into a space where she starts to feel like she needs to ask to break up because it feels like he's leading her there. That's kind of my understanding of how things went down from this conversation. And it's consistent, in my opinion, with the behavior we've seen from him on the show. That was that conversation. She leaves. He, while crying or whatever, goes into the room. So this is the X room. You guys can see they dressed up the X room as like a classroom, because remember, they dated from high school to college. So you can see here, there's their uniforms. These are all of the pictures they took together. Up here, we have a bunch of cards with things that they've said to each other. These are all of their outfits from high school. There's an iPad playing like all of their pictures on a slideshow. There's a table like over here. This table has all the letters they've written to each other. There's just like all this stuff they gave to each other, their old backpacks, like, and there's good things that they've said to each other here, and there's also bad things that they said to each other here. So he's like crying while looking at all of this stuff. And then he starts to cry really hard after reading one specific placard. And the placard says, if you want to meet someone who parties all the time, meet someone else. That's not me. And he starts crying when he reads that placard. And then we see like a interview interjection from Minkyung where she says, like, we used to go on vacation and trips a lot, but on like those trips, especially towards the end of our breakup, like I would want to like go out more or like drink more, just like do more stuff. But he would refuse to like drink or hang out with me late because he was like, I have to take care of myself and take care of my body for like dancing for like my job. And then that's when he said what he said. But so once again, this puts into perspective why she was upset about him staying up all night. When they were dating, even when they went on vacations and they took like money and time and energy to go out and do like special trips as a couple, he wouldn't even stay up all night with her on their couple trips. But then they break up. She comes into this house. All of a sudden, bro is lively as fuck. He's partying every night. Bro goes to sleep every night at 5, 6 a.m. He doesn't give a shit about what he's eating. He's drinking. He's going crazy. And it's like, but when we were dating, you didn't want to even go on vacation with me. You literally were like, you want to date a partier? Date a partier. I'm not a partier. But now you're partying. So I understand more and more seeing this stuff, like why Minkyung felt like she was being told by Yoosik in other ways to break up with him. And it does feel like he just stopped loving her. His feelings cooled off and he just didn't have the heart to break up with her first. To be honest, it just feels like that more and more. So Yoosik is crying a lot and he's like looking at all this stuff in their like old like class locker, all their pictures and things like that. And all of a sudden there's a projector that turns on and the projector shows like Minkyung talking to the production team. And it's talking about just like Minkyung's perspective on their relationship and like what her inner thoughts are. And she talks about how like when they were in high school, pretty much 24/7 together, they were never apart. And only in college, they start to live like their lives a bit separately. And she was like around like 7 years in, she would jokingly talk about like, wouldn't babies resembling us be cute? Or since we've been together for 7 years, we should just get married. Like she would say stuff like this, but not once did he ever respond to her or give her a proper answer to any of those like jokes or words that she like sent out, like any of the jokes that she made or things that she said about getting married. And that made her feel like, he had no intention of ever marrying her or being serious about the relationship, even though they were 7 years in. Like, and part what she says here, this is her from the interview, is that she feels like she's not in his future. Like she said at one point to him that she said, I feel like I'm not in your future at all. And he said in response to that, he was like, we're still really young and I'm not like stable in my career or anything yet. So I don't think we should be talking about marriage right now. Every time you bring up marriage and you bring up this stuff, I don't know what to say to you because I can't give you the answer you want. So that made her feel even more that their relationship values were different and that he wasn't serious about her or he wasn't serious about the relationship in the way that she wanted him to be. So Yoosik sees this. He cries a bunch. He's like, I was a bad boyfriend. And he concludes while leaving the room that letting her go to someone else and moving on is the right thing to do. And that's how the episode ends, with him crying and leaving the ex room. Yoosik, where's Yoosik, bro? Yoosik, stop lying, bro. Stop lying. Like, hearing all of this, I was like, okay, they dated when they were in high school. It was great. Woohoo, woohoo. Y'all went to college. You weren't together as much anymore. And your feelings started to cool off. You were like, maybe I want to try some more water. You know what I mean? He wanted to try something different. He was like, there's a lot of fish in the sea. I want to go swimming. You understand? You acknowledge that you were a bad boyfriend. But then your acknowledgement from that is, I should move on. You see how if you actually wanted to get back together, that would not be your conclusion after entering this room. When Minkyung told him to go into the room and reflect back on their relationship, she told him to go into the room with the hope that he would look at everything, their memories and everything she said, and would realize she wants him to come back to her. Yushik doesn't want to get back together, though. It doesn't matter that he acknowledges that he was a bad boyfriend, especially towards the end of their relationship and the later half of their relationship. It don't matter because he don't want her. Like, if he could just be honest with himself for 1 minute, he could recognize what us, the viewers, have recognized, which was that around 7 years, and what Minkyung has recognized, which is that around 7 years, he stopped liking her, like, to be honest. And that's why he complained about that's why he complained on vacations, and that's why he didn't want to drink with her, and that's why he was always asking to sleep more, and he just didn't want to put effort in this relationship anymore. He wasn't even interested in talking about marriage with her. What other conclusion is Minkyung supposed to get from that other than, I guess we are supposed to break up now? If he had balls, okay, he would have said, I think we should break up. My heart's not in it anymore. I don't feel the same way about you that I felt in the past. He could have just said that, but he didn't want to be the bad guy. So he put her in a position where she has to make the decision. And that goes back to what she said in the X room when they were discussing who should go inside, when she says, you always make me have to make the hard choice. She's right. He puts her in positions so that the onus is not on him. And this was the same thing when they fought in the terrace too. When he was telling her, well, everybody can tell that you're making it obvious that I'm your ex and blah, blah, blah. Like, whenever he talks about in the interviews about she's saying she doesn't want to reunite, so I'm going to move on. But she's never said that, and all of her actions indicate the opposite. You just want to move on. The thing about Yoosik that bothers me is not that he wants to move on. It's that he lies about wanting to move on so that he can put the onus on his ex so he's not the bad guy. You understand? Like, he's trying to play us, the viewers. That's what makes me mad. I'm mad that he's not honest with himself. I'm mad that he's not honest with the viewers. Most of all, I'm mad that he's not honest with his ex. So, unfortunate. So, to wrap up everything that happened today, today's today's idiots are unfortunately Woojin and Jiyeon. I need Jiyeon to chill out with the I want to move on. And Woojin, I need you to be honest with yourself. The reason why I chose them as, like, kind of today's villains, essentially, of the episode, at least in my eyes, are the people who I felt like were kind of like the dumbest. Because Jiyeon knows that he's annoyed with her actions and doesn't do anything to either confront him and shut him down about the parts that are not, like, correct to be mad about. Also, she continues to do certain actions that are actually a little bit disrespectful. And Woojin, I think it's obvious what I'm annoyed about, which is, like, this emotional, abusive pattern of how he processes his anger and then resolves it afterwards. It really is a red flag to me that he apologized to Wongyu, but he didn't apologize to Jiyeon. I don't know. I want him to go to, like, anger management or something. Yoosik and Baekhyun might be, like, dumb and cowards, but they're not dangerous. You understand? They're just, like, shitty exes to have. But Woojin, the stuff that he does and the way that he reacts to situations and how angry he gets to then apologizing and then immediately getting angry again, it's scary. So that was the end of today's episode. Hopefully next week we'll get more interesting scenes to review. If you enjoyed today's video and today's recap, like, subscribe, leave a comment letting me know what was your favorite or least favorite part of the episode. If you agree with me, disagree with me, and I will see you guys next week when episode 11 drops. Bye! Bye, 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 bye.